Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good whatever time of day it is and whatever part of the world you're at right now. Welcome back. And today we're going to be doing a lesson about the angles of polygons, okay? So I've already taken some time to fill in the top little notes. It says all polygons, right? Sum of the interior angle for any polygon is n minus 2 times 180. And n, just in case, I didn't state this up here, but n is basically the number of sides, okay? So n in all of these formulas represents the number of sides. Now, the sum of the exterior angles of all polygons is just 360 degrees. That's just some good knowledge to have. However, we rarely use it for the most part. It's just something good to know. They may ask you a question about the sum of the exterior angles, but let's go ahead and move on. So regular polygons. Regular means that all sides are equal. So when you see the word regular, regular polygon, that means that all sides are congruent. Okay, so n represents the number of sides, and the phrase regular means that all the sides are congruent. Okay, all right, so now with that being said, each interior angle inside of a regular polygon can be found by basically dividing the sum of the interior angles, because if you notice, this is the same part. These two are the same. So if you want to find the measure of an interior angle of a regular polygon, you simply divide the sum of the interior angles by the number of sides, okay? And that's what you see here, n minus 2 times 180, all of that divided by n. And if you're trying to find the measure of one exterior angle or any exterior angle of a regular polygon, you simply divide 360 by the number of sides, okay? Now, it's important to make sure that you know these formulas, have them handy. Once again, take time to memorize them because you have to actually apply them to these problems here. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at number one. Number one says, find the sum of the interior angles of a 25-sided polygon. Well, the key thing here is sum of interior angles. So I know to use this formula, okay? Now, they tell us it's 25 sides, so that means that n is equal to 25. Write my formula, n minus 2 times 180, okay? So that's going to give me 25 minus 2 times 180. And that's going to become 23 times 180. And that equals 4140. And then just in case you're doubting me, let's pull out the calculator. Let's see here, clear that. We're going to do 23 times 180, 4,140, okay? All right, let's go back to our problem, number two. Number two says, if the sum of the measures of an interior angle of a polygon is 1,620, how many sides does it have? So the key thing here is sum of the measure of the interior angles. All right, well, once again, we're going to have to refer to this formula. So we can write the formula down. That's n minus 2 times 180, and we already know what the sum of those angles equal. It's 1,620 degrees. Now, if we want to find out how many sides it has, that means we're solving for n, okay? Solving for n. Now, the first thing we want to do It's just since we have this group here, n minus 2, and it's being multiplied times 180, let's get rid of the 180. So we can divide both sides by 180. Okay, let's pull our calculator back up. And if we do 1620 divided by 180, okay, that's going to equal 9. So what I'm going to do right now, we're going to write, so 1620 divided by 180 is equal to 9. Now, I don't have room to write down here, so I'm not going to write right there, okay? I'm just going to write to the side. So the 180s cancel out, and 1620 divided by 180 is now just 9. So we can write n minus 2 equals 9. And then to solve for n, we simply add 2 to both sides. And now we know that the number of sides is equal to 11. And there's our answer. Okay. All right. Number 3. Let me erase that highlighted part. Number 3 says, what's the measure of each interior angle of a regular 15-sided polygon? So once again, we want the measure of each interior angle. Well, each interior angle, there's the formula that we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and write that out. We're going to have, and they told us some important information here. N equals 15. So we're going to do 15 minus 2 times 180 divided by 15. Okay, that's going to equal 13 times 180 divided by 15. Now I could use the calculator to do this, but I'm gonna work it out by hand real quick. I'm gonna break the 180 down. So we're gonna have 13 times, then I'm gonna do 6 times 3, which is 18. And then I'm gonna do 2 times 5, which is 10, because 18 times 10 is 180. And on the bottom, I'm gonna factor 15 into 3 times 5. Okay, and I'm just showing this for those who may like to work without a calculator, or maybe you have a test question that you don't get to use the calculator on. How else could you simplify this without without it being so difficult? So now the reason, once again, 180, if you multiply 18 times 10, that equals 180. Okay, so I was just putting the parentheses there so you all know where I got 6 times 3 times 2 times 5 from. Okay, now what I want to do is just go ahead and reduce or simplify. So I have a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, that's gone. I have a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, that's gone. So now my final answer is really 13 times 6 times 2. 6 times 2 is 12, and 13 times 12 is 156. So let me go back and circle my answer for number 1. So for number 3, our final answer is 156. Okay, and once again, if you don't trust me, I'll pull the calculator out and we'll test it real quick. 13 times 180 equals 2340, and then I'm gonna divide that by 15, which is 156. Okay. All right. Number 4. Let me erase these highlighter markings. Okay. So number 4 says, what is the measure of each exterior angle of a regular hexagon? Excuse me. Well, first of all, regular hexagon, or a hexagon itself, has 6 sides. Okay, so that means that n is equal to 6. Now let's highlight. It says measure of each exterior angle. Okay, well, each exterior angle can be found by doing 360 divided by the number of sides. So we're actually going to do 360 divided by n. We know n is 6, so that's 360 divided by 6. And 36 divided by 6 is 6, and it's 360, so this would be 60 degrees. So the measure of each exterior angle of a regular hexagon is 60 degrees, okay? And for number 3, I put my degree symbol, the little circle right there in red, because it's an angle measure, and angle measures, in order to identify them, you have to put a degree sign. And I put it back for number 1 as well. All right, let's erase that. Number 5. Number 5 says if an interior angle of a regular polygon measures 140, how many sides does it have? So right now we're talking about interior angle of a regular polygon. So, and it says if and is another way of saying each. So each interior angle inside the polygon is 140. How many sides does it have? So once again, we have to use the formula that I highlighted there. So, and we have our angle measure. So really this is going to be 140 is equal to n times 2, or excuse me, n minus 2 times 180, and all of that divided by n, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to end up doing to solve, because we got to solve for n. They want to know how many sides does it have. And remember, n represents the number of sides. So if I'm trying to figure out how many sides it has, we want to go ahead and solve for n. I have to multiply. To get rid of this fraction, I'm going to multiply both sides by n, okay? Just so you can see that. And now what's going to happen is these n's are going to cancel out, okay? Those are going to cancel out. I'm going to erase some of this because I don't want all that in the way. And what you're going to end up with is this. I'm going to draw my arrow. So this would be the next line. 140n is equal to n minus 2 times 180. Then I'm going to distribute the 180. So this becomes 140n is equal to 180n minus 360. Okay? And I get the 360 because negative 2 times 180 is 360. Now I want to get my n terms on the same side. So I want to get both of these on the same side. That means I'm going to subtract 180n from both sides. And when I do that, that's going to leave me with negative 40n. And then that's going to equal negative 360. And after that, we simply divide both sides by negative 40. And that makes n equal to positive 9. Okay? So the number of sides, how many sides does it have? 9. Okay? Number 6. And let me get rid of my highlighter markings. Okay. All right. So number 6 reads, if an exterior angle of a regular polygon measures 15 degrees, how many sides does it have? All right. So once again, let's highlight. It says an exterior angle. And is the same as saying each. So, and it says if an exterior angle of a regular polygon measures 15 degrees. So they're already telling us that each exterior angle measures 15 degrees. They want to know how many sides does it have. So really, we're going to do 15 degrees is equal to 360 divided by n. And what I'm going to do is multiply n on both sides. Right? So what would happen after that as a result? I'm going to draw my arrow here. As a result, we would have 15n equals 360. And then we would divide, so n is equal to 360 divided by 15. All right. Once again, we could factor all of this out. So 36, I'm going to do 36 times 10. So 36 times 10 is like saying 3 times 12, that's 36, times 2 times 5. And then I'm going to factor to 15. 15 can factor into 3 times 5. And now, if we have a number on the top and a number on the bottom, we can go ahead and simplify. I have a 3 on the top and a 3 on the bottom, that's gone. I have a 5 on the top and a 5 on the bottom, that's gone. So 12 times 2 is 24. So n, this figure has 24 sides. Okay, so for number 6, the answer is n equals 24. Now, let's say you didn't want to do all of that work. You could have just pulled out your calculator, okay, and you would have did 360 divided by 15, and that still equals 24. So n would still equal 24. Okay, let's move that away. All right, 2 more questions and then we'll be done. All right, and I'm gonna erase this a little bit right here. Don't want that in the way. We've already done number 5. So number 7, it says find the value of x. Well, first, when you have a diagram like this, you need to count the number of sides. So we have 1, count the number of sides. My fault, I'm counting the angles. Number of sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 sides. So we know that n is equal to 5. Okay, and we're looking for x, which means we're going to have to add up all the interior angles. So when you add all the interior angles, we're doing the sum of the interior angles. Now, what we need, so the first thing, like I said first, figure out how many sides there are. We're going to have to plug in into this formula here, n minus 2 times 180, to figure out what all of these add up to equal. So I'm going to put an equal signs here. I'm going to put an equal sign in here so I know how much all of these angles add up to equal. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and do my work. So this is going to be 5 minus 2 times 180. That's going to become 3 times 180, which is equal to 540. So all of these angles are going to add up to equal 540 degrees. So now what I do is do 4x plus 19 plus 9x minus 8 plus 7x minus 3 plus 122 plus 90, and all of that should be equal to 540. So now I just have to simplify these things. So I'm going to combine my 4x, my 9x, and my 7x. That's going to make 20x. Okay. And now I want to combine my numbers. Positive 19, negative 8, negative 3, positive 122, and positive 90. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to use the calculator to help me out here, okay? So I have 19, plus 8, which is a negative, plus 3, which is a negative, plus 122, plus 90. All of that equals 220. So I'm going to write plus 220 equals 540. Okay, now I just solve for x. Subtract 220 from both sides, so that's going to become 20x is equal to 320. And when we divide both sides by 20, x is going to equal 16. And we found the value of x. Number 8. And I'm going to erase some of this right here because we've already done it now, right? So number 8 says find the value of x again. We know that for number 8 that this is a regular polygon, and we know that this is a regular polygon because it has congruent markings. Each angle each side is congruent. Okay, so that lets us know that this is a regular polygon. Okay, now to find the value of x, we know that we need to count the number of sides first. So how many sides does this have? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So n is equal to 8. And they only told us the measure of one interior angle. So for this one, the measure of one interior angle, we're actually going to use this formula here. Okay. And we already know the number of sides. Number of sides is 8. So first, we're going to go ahead and figure out what this angle measure should actually be equal to. And once we figure that out, then we do 21x minus 33 equals that angle measure. So we're going to do 8 minus 2 times 180. That's going to be 6 times 180. And just to make sure my math is correct, let's do 6 times 180. Oops, clear. 6 times 180 equals 1080. Okay, so this is equal to 1080. So, oops. And I forgot to do one other thing. Let me go back. I did not write the formula correct all the way. Only other thing I was supposed to do was divide. This should still be divided by 8 because the formula that we're using is n minus 2 times 180 divided by 8. Okay? So, once again, that'll be 6 times 180 divided by 8. I'm just going to go ahead. We know that this is going to be 1080 divided by 8, which let's use a calculator for the sake of time. Divide that by 8, and that equals 135. So this one angle, we're going to set it equal to 135 degrees. And technically speaking, just so we understand, all of these interior angles, this angle right here is 135. This angle is 135. This angle right here is 135. All of these angles, when I'm putting these little green markings, are each 135 degrees. So what does that mean? We can go ahead and set our expression 21x minus 33 is equal to 135. And then we add 33 to both sides. That's going to give us 21x is equal to 168. And when we divide both sides by 21, 168 divided by 21 is equal to 8. And now we have our final answer, okay? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our lesson today on the angles of polygons, okay? Hopefully you all learned something from this. Leave some comments underneath the video. Other than that, you all have a great day, and I'll see y'all back for another video lesson. Deuces.